What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, and today we have to continue to talk a little bit about what the Jets decided to do in tearing it down with the trading deadline earlier this week, and start to talk a little bit about their opponent and what they're going to do on Sunday, because there is still a season to play here in 2025, right? And they get back into action after the bye against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. But remember, if you want to get down with Jets Latest, you need to subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everyone who likes these videos, watches these videos, engages in the comments. I always tell you, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend to get down with Jets Latest, all right? And if you want to become a Jets Latest insider, you can click on that join button, get exclusive content, all sorts of other perks as we continue on in this Jets 2025 season, which looks like it is rebuilding time, right? We all knew this. We always talked about it being a rebuild. Aaron Glenn would always say it's not instant coffee. I would say it takes a longer time to turn the Titanic than it does to turn a jet ski in terms of the radius. But they decided to trade their two best defensive players, and boy, did they get a haul. Here it is again. Obviously, Sauce Gardner goes to the Colts. Quinnen Williams goes to the Cowboys. They wind up getting, draft picks in 2026. They get the Colts first round pick and the Cowboys second round pick. Then in 2027, they will have 3 first round picks, their own, the Cowboys and the Colts. They also get A.D. Mitchell to kind of be one of these wide receivers we're throwing into the mix, along with guys like John Mechie, who we threw into the mix in our trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. And they also get Mozzie Smith, a former first round pick of the Dallas Cowboys. Here's what I think is important. This is clear that we are clearing the decks for this roster, for this regime. There is now no Jets on the roster who were drafted before 2021. Long snapper Thomas Hennessy is the only player back from when Mike McCagnon was the GM. Obviously, there's some from Joe Douglas, and now Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are kind of clean slating it. And one of the things I want to say here is not only do they have the draft picks to go ahead, but they also have now a ton of money. When you lose the Quinnen Williams contract and the Sauce Gardner contract off the books, as per Spotrac, the Jets now, for next offseason, have $117 million in cap space. That is the third most in the NFL. And remember, they've got the second youngest roster in the NFL. So if you're going to rebuild, you want to have assets. They've got the cash, they've got the picks. The question is, what will they do with it? They have got good value for their stars. They have all the assets and ammunition they need. The question is, do you trust them? And I got to tell you the truth. So far, there's no reason not to trust Muji and Glenn. Everybody has said that the Jets draft in 2025 was good, right? Between Membu and Mason Taylor. Looked like we got players in Malachi Moore. Looked like we got players in A.Z. Thomas. Looked like we even got a player in Kiko, right? And then think about it. Some of these other trades that Muji has made for players, they have identified good talent. Jarvis Brownlee looks pretty good. Juwan Briggs, Harrison Phillips looks pretty good. The idea of how we can develop some talent that we saw flash in the league. Brandon Stevens is an example of that. Olufashanu has come on, right? So can this Jets regime identify and develop young talent? So far, there's no reason to think that they can't. So if they have the assets and the money, hopefully they do the same thing there. That's what it comes down to, okay? They definitely, if you're going to give him a grade, got an A for getting value, getting opportunity. We know they were not going anywhere this year. The question is, what do they do with that opportunity? So we'll see across the next couple of years, quite frankly, right? This is a long rebuild for the green and white. But if it works out, it can be the best we've seen in 20, 30 years. Now, I know older Jets fans who hit me up in the comments all the time are like, I don't have time. I want to see a winning team. Well, it may not take that long. I go back to the Detroit Lions, which is what Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand saw, right? When Dan Campbell got there, how bad it started. I say it all the time. They started 0-10-1. They finished that first season 3-13-1. What they also did was they traded Matthew Stafford away for a boatload of picks. Those picks, some of them turned into guys like Sam Laporta. Some of them turned into guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, who are now key pieces for a true Super Bowl contending team. All right, so it's hard to put your faith in cap space and picks, but that's where the Jets are, and that's quite frankly the intelligent way to go about it. But now let's look forward more to the short term, right? This week against the Cleveland Browns. You may have not seen it because there was so much talk and so much headline around the trade deadline stuff, the Sauce move, the Quinn Williams move. But earlier in the week, Aaron Glenn once again declined to name his starting quarterback for week 10. I think it's going to be Justin Fields. I think this is more of Aaron Glenn kind of, doing his game with the media, being a little bit adversarial with the media. He says that the player knows, and we just don't tell you. I think it's going to be Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields saved his job, to be quite honest, going for 244 and the touchdown and that comeback victory against Cincinnati. And at this point, what you need to do is run Justin Fields out there anyway. You got to evaluate him. Most people do not believe he is the long-term answer, but he is another one. Short deal, below market value doesn't hurt us to find out. We know what Tyrod Taylor is. And now, if we're on this long rebuild, Tyrod Taylor in his 30s is not the answer at quarterback. Do I think Justin Fields is? At the beginning of the season, I thought he could be. Now, I'm not so sure. He's going to have the second half of the year to find out, because then the Jets are going to use those assets if they want in a very quarterback-rich draft coming up. And I will say this. Listen, there are some good things about Justin Fields. He's the only regular starter in the NFL who hasn't thrown a pick yet. His 64% completion percentage, that's the best of his career. And as we've talked about a lot here on Jets Latest, he is an elite dual threat quarterback. So I do think that is there. Aaron Glenn talks about it being like a competitive edge to not name the quarterback against the Browns. I'm not so sure. It's going to be Justin Fields. I did think it was interesting, though. Remember, the last time the Jets were playing, everyone thought they were going to make the move to Tyrod, but then he was hurt. Now, if Tyrod is healthy again after the bye, Aaron Glenn once again says, I don't know yet. I think it's going to be Justin Fields, but just want to put that out there. Last thing, whether it's Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, whoever it is, we know Breece Hall is still a Jet. All of these trades were on the defensive side, right? The offense is still intact, and whoever it is, Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, they're probably potentially going to get help on offense. Why? Because Garrett Wilson is practicing again this week. Listen to what Aaron Glenn had to say. He goes, listen, he's going to practice this week. I'm looking forward to him getting out and practicing. We'll see how that goes during the week. I don't want to place too much on him right now, but I'm excited about being able to get him out there and practicing this week. Remember, Garrett Wilson was having a great season before the knee injury against the Denver Broncos. He was actually the leading receiver in the AFC at the time with his 36 catches, his almost 400 yards. He had the most targets of anybody in the AFC. That has obviously since been surpassed with Garrett Wilson missing games. And over in Cincinnati, Joe Flacco is just finding Jamar Chase anytime, anywhere, any place, right? But Garrett Wilson, when he comes back, whether it is this week or sometime soon, remember, the Jets didn't put him on IR. Right? So they thought there was a chance for him to come back in 4 weeks. This would be the third game he's missed, or third week with the bye, since he got injured in that game in London against the Denver Broncos. So one thing could be positive. We've lost team leaders like Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams, but we could be getting a big-time team leader back in Garrett Wilson. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about on this episode of Jets Latest. As always, please subscribe to the channel, join to become an insider, tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend, and thank you for watching, liking, commenting on these videos. I'm really excited and really happy and thankful about how we have grown the channel. So let's see what some of the Jets latest regulars have to say. BSF Low says, I'm effing heartbroken. Number 95 traded him like he was tradable. Shaking my head. I'm about to become a Giants fan. At least their D-line is legit. Jets management should send checks to fans for pain and suffering. The Browns are going to run for over 250 yards on Sunday. Better lock in Browns running backs for your prop bets now. JETS stands for Just End the Struggle. Listen, I know losing these guys that were our studs on defense never feels good. In the long-term rebuild, though, this is what teams do in sports, in all sports, right? You either are going for it or you're breaking it down, looking for your time in the cycle. It is clear that this Jets team was not going anywhere, so they made the moves that they made. We'll see what Moji and Glenn do with the talent that ultimately gets brought in as a result of these trades. Number one, FTW3 says Sauce has been suspect since signing his big contract. There is some metrics out there like the penalties that have been there. People question his tackling, but as I've been saying on Jets Latest, in terms of covering, in terms of defending and pass breakups, completion percentage against, he was still truly elite. And the Colts saw that. They are going all in, and they gave us a big time package in order to do that. So we'll see. The thing is, Brandon Stevens has been good lately. Jarvis Brownlee has been good lately. A lot of people are excited about what Azaria Thomas can be, right? So the cupboard is not bare, and now they've got more time to grow together. So we shall see. Old School Dad 23 says, agreed. I'm glad we kept Brees, and now we can draft a quarterback. We got all the assets in the world, okay? It looks like we're going to have a high pick that's our own, right? And then we have a lot of capital in terms of the Cowboys picks and the Colts picks. The Cowboys don't look like they're going to the playoffs either. Their picks are going to be pretty decent over the next year or two as well. So that could be the quarterback answer, right? And then the interesting part to me is I know that Aaron Glenn wants to be a running team. I talked all in the offseason about how Breece Hall and Braylon Allen could be a lot like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Again, that Lions analogy, right? And now, with all this money we have, maybe they bring Breece Hall back on a contract as a free agent to try to maintain a strong run game as the anchor of this team. We'll see. And I know Breece Hall was out there on social media kind of expressing frustration, but we'll see if, when you get a high-end rookie quarterback, let's say, and you have a big-time run game and you're developing talent on defense and you have a lot of money to add pieces and add players, we'll see if that's the route they actually go and pay Breece instead of trading him away. But that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember, if you want to hear more from me, the Spittin' Statistician, I am also the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, channel 87. If you're not into the Jets anymore this year because they sold off, maybe your fantasy team needs some help. I am here for you there as well. FTN Fantasy is a great website. I'm talking rankings, content, stats, all sorts of great stuff to become a better fantasy player and a better sports better, all right? We'll be back tomorrow kind of previewing the game in MetLife against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. But for now, for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here. Peace.